There's a twilight zone, and there are some redeemable things in there, some very moral lessons in there. But there was one, and not all of it though, but one of them was about a guy who was searching for the devil in this thing. He was searching they said the devil was loose in the world, and his object was to chain up the devil. And he thought if he could do that, he could solve the world. Everybody thought he was mad. He had this man chained up, and this guy visited the place where he had it, and this guy said, "No, let me free. The guy is mad. He's nuts. He's nuts." And he said, "Just let me free. Just open up this. Take off this." It was like a staff or something. He took it off. The man walked out, and all of a sudden he started changing into the devil. And then it was like World War I and World War II and all this stuff like that. But there's a biblical thing to it. It says in the Bible, give no room for the devil. No room, autopos, no room at all for the devil. You can't give him a little bit. You can't play with fire. If your eye causes you to sin, take it out. That's not literal that you're supposed to take it out, but it's saying that's how graphic you're to take it. That it's even more than that. How do you deal with Agag? A little gossip. How do you deal with gossip? A little gossip? Pretty soon, no. It becomes the Agag will become a Haman. It'll poison your thoughts. It'll poison your heart. It'll poison your attitude. It'll poison a little bit. Total war. It's the only way. The Canaanites. God said to Israel, when you go into the land, drive these people out. Because if you don't drive them out, they're going to become a curse to you. What happened? They drove some of them out, let some of them stay. And so what happened? They became a curse for them. They became a hindrance for them. They became a constant bondage for them. They tempted them. Many Israelites fell away into false gods because they let them stay. A constant source of grief. Ultimately, you have Goliath and the Philistines. It takes a David with God to overcome. All these problems they had, Jezebels, all these things because they didn't do what God told them to do. They lived with them. God says, drive those sins out of the promised land, out of your life. You let them stay, they will end up surely hindering you, and surely tempting you, and surely putting you in bondage. Drive them out of your life totally. There's no way to deal with them but that. That Agag habit you have. For some, I don't know what it could be. It could be anything. It could be a drink. It could be something you know you shouldn't be doing. That's a sin. You say, I can do a little bit of this. That's King Agag. You let him go, you're going to end up with a Haman over you. No prisoners. That little grudge you have, that's an Agag grudge. You think you can, the Lord will understand. That thing, you let it go. It's going to grow. It's going to produce seeds. It's going to become a Haman of bitterness. Declare war on all bitterness. You might have a habit. It's not an addiction. It's not a big thing, but it wastes your time. Even sitting in front of the television set for hours is draining your life away. It rules you in the end. That Agag always becomes Haman. It's amazing how habits grow. Say you're careful, you do something every day, and whether it could be anything, whether you always make sure that you put your socks away and you're in this thing, and then say one day you don't put your socks, one day it slips. The next day it becomes easier to do that again. The next day it's almost like once you let one thing slip, the next day it's like it has a life of its own. You didn't even think about it, but it is more easy to let that thing go. And then if you do it again, pretty soon you won't be doing it at all. One day you slip. A little thing. One day, we had Feast of Tabernacles and people brought in fruit, and this one person brought in this thing of fruit that was filled with fruit flies. And so all of a sudden it was like filled, the building had fruit flies all over. We were trying to get rid of these fruit flies, and finally Joe, I don't know if he did a research paper before he was a minister, and it had to do with, he got the answer about you use certain thing, and he got rid of the fruit flies. But the thing is that's the way it is with sin. That's the way it is, always. For some, there might be an Agag of gambling. You cannot play with it. People destroy their lives over things like this. You're a little dishonest with something. And one thing, you cut corners. You're not upfront. You're not honest about something. You think, I don't have to do that. I'll just take the shortcut. That leads to other things. There's an Agag. You give into a thought of gloom and despair, and you'll end up you keep doing it enough, you'll end up with depression. You entertain things that we shouldn't be entertaining. It could even be a seed of, it could be a false doctrine for some of you. An idea that's not really grounded in the Bible. That grows. Are we to be tolerant? People say, oh, you're not tolerant. We are to be tolerant of people. We're to be intolerant of sin. We're to have zero tolerance for sin, for evil.
To find out how you can receive more of Jonathan's teachings, to receive special free gifts, or get in touch, go to hopeoftheworld.org or call toll-free 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821. You can also get more at Jonathan Cahn's Facebook page or write us direct at Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA.